Hey friends, Lindsey Hein here. Welcome to Relay. We are so excited to have you joining us for this special post TCS New York City Marathon recap. We've got Kofuzi, Matt Chittim, Peter Bromka, and Erika Kemp here. You guys like how I was counting as I was saying your names? I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anybody.
Good work.
I'm just glad you got TCS in there. Are you getting that TCS money?
I mean, I'll
She's
take
trying.
it.
She's
I'll
trying.
try. So one of us was actually in New York City, and that was Erika Kemp. How was the day, Erika?
As the, on the ground weather consultant, it was ideal. As a spectator, I was cold the entire time, which meant it was a beautiful day to run the marathon. And it was great. I mean, they had, terrible flooding on, Thursday, I wanna say, into Friday, which, I heard it, messed up a lot of people's travel, and thankfully, it feels like most people ended up making it. But yeah, it was a beautiful, day. If you had never run the New York City Marathon before, it was, a heck of a first day to do it. They I can't speak for the men, but the women went for it. They were
Seriously.
literally running so fast, our spectating plan was thrown off, and I missed them because they were moving too fast.
Yeah, totally. I think Helen Taylor said it best on, I think she posted on Instagram or Twitter, something like that. She's like, I love seeing the women going for it at New York. This is kind of like, I think she summed it up like it's like a long time coming that she's always wanted this. And, I wasn't surprised to see Susanna Sullivan doing it, who we all saw do at the World Championships. Even as I was watching it, I was harkening back to wow, there's she has picked up the mantle of what Helen Taylor used to do, of being if this race isn't honest, well, gosh darn it, I'm going to make it honest. And we've seen Kellen Taylor make a career out of doing that. And it's cool seeing Susanna do essentially the same thing at these very high profile races.
This race was honest from pretty much the get-go, though, which I was not expecting. So I know part of it is because they surge at the aid stations, but at mile 6, there was a point when Helen Obiri and Sharon Lokedi were at the front. And I'm I was not expecting this until mile 21 or so. And here they are. And yes, half a mile later, they were back in the pack, but they weren't that far back and they were pressing, I thought from the beginning. And I watched the New York Roadrunners app feed because I have YouTube TV and they're fighting with ESPN. So I couldn't watch the regular broadcast. But the nice part about it was an uninterrupted feed from the women's lead car. So I got to see every move the entire race, and it was amazing to be able to see the surges, the dropping back when people were trying to hang on to the pack and when they weren't. It was the camera guy did an amazing job, and the race was incredible to watch.
Can you explain that to me again? Because I was craving what you were doing, because I was wishing for what you happen to be doing. So where exactly did you watch this? Because for me, I think for most people who are watching on ESPN, that you really caught the last 15 to 20 minutes of each race was really the bulk of it. They'd kind of like a tourist drop in at the race occasionally, but you really just caught the last 15 minutes of each race was essentially the coverage.
Yeah, so in the New York Roadrunners app, the same app you use for tracking people, there's an events section, and you click on New York Marathon, you could see the men's wheelchair, women's wheelchair, men's and women's race, and it would be the lead car for each of those. And there's always the media car in front of the lead pack. That camera person doesn't take a break. They're not taking a smoke break halfway through. They're always filming the entire time. And so they just put that as the feed. That's all you got. And so they never went to commercial. It never went to picture in picture. It was just the women's feed the entire time. And I'm that's an amazing way to watch a race. I mean, luckily all the action most of the action I wanted to see was in that lead pack. So what I wanted to see was there. I'd love for a 5th and a 6th feed being lead or chase pack or lead Americans. That'd be great too. But being able to see it minute by minute the entire way was I've never seen anything like that before.
Did your app continue to work? Because I couldn't track during the race. I was trying to track athletes, and I had a good 5 minutes where it worked for me, but then it didn't work until an hour after the elites finished, at least for me.
This is the meme, Lindsey. calling out TCS as the sponsor. They're like, the app melted down. Many of us could not track any of our people, and everyone's like, if only there was a consulting company that maybe they could partner with. Like, Tata Consulting Group should be burned to the ground this morning because it's like, you had one job. Make the app work.
No, that's so true. Because I was like on the way to my son's soccer game, and I was like, dang it, I'm gonna have to download this freaking app because I still didn't know where Amanda Vestry placed, and I was just trying to get the rundown of, beyond the top 6-7 women, and it was like not downloading, and then the website wasn't loading, and I was like, Sidious Mag, come through for me,
They're right there.
The app worked for me fine. I turned on the feed and then I never touched it. I was like, if I leave now,
maybe because you were on earlier.
It's
something.
like if you're in line, you stay in line. That's what happened.
That's
like
what it was.
I just did not change. That's why I told you guys earlier before we started recording. I didn't watch the men. I only watched the women.
Why didn't you?
Because I didn't want to leave and lose the feed. And then at the end of the race, here's the thing. Here's the one downside of doing it the way I did it. The moto has to like pull off the end of the course because they don't want to be in the finish line. You're still getting that feed. It doesn't switch to something else. So at the finish line, I just saw the ground. Like the camera, like the guy took the camera off his shoulder or whatever, and I'm looking at the ground. And then I tried to go to the men's feed and it like just didn't work. And so
I'm glad that it wasn't as close as the men's race. Or
I mean, if it were, then it would have been like there's a photo finish at the finish line, and this camera is pointing at the dirt, and so like I wouldn't have seen it either way. But watching the women that way was amazing because I got to see the move that Sharon Lokedi put on like Central Park South, or that Helen Beery put on Sharon. And
I was like, when did Sharon do a move?
Like when that happened, I was like, oh, this is the move. And then I was like, what's the response? And there wasn't a response. And I was like, oh, that is with authority. She went and there was no response. Like, that's incredible. Like, just to see that, like that, you always miss that in the women's race. Like, you always miss that final move on the main broadcast. But I was like, they finally got it. They actually have it. They probably have it from every year. And it's sitting on some actual videotape somewhere. But like this year, at least I got to see it. And it was good. It was really good.
I can't imagine like that. It was so calculated on her part too. She was like, okay, now's when I'm going to go. Like, I'm dying to know like what she actually felt like in that moment. Like, she knew that she had it in her to put the hammer down, and she just went. She just took off. It was
she had another gear. She just
she's done it before, right there.
Revenge. That's what was going through her mind, right? She was thinking about last year.
True.
Yeah, Erika, you talked about how in Chicago there was that look back, and John Career, like it melted John Career. I feel like that's what there wasn't a look back, but that's what happened. She's like, I'm going, and no one's going to be able to stay with me, and Sharon had no response.
This is so many Laura Thweet on.
I mean, she was still running so fast, right? So it's not like she stopped, but it was incredible.
Erika, I'm always wondering, like, so you're there and you were at the 40K, you said?
Mm-hmm.
When you're watching this, are you thinking, where would I be? What would I be thinking?
No.
Not at all. You're not even putting yourself in the moment?
No, because like one, that would like take away the joy of like really being a spectator. Because you're like, as fun as that race looked and as like insanely well everyone ran, I can't even begin to imagine like how I would feel. And I also feel like that's just like a dangerous game to play with yourself of like, oh, well, like, yeah, they had like amazing weather and they had all these like people to run with. Like, yeah, would I have loved to have been out there with like Amanda and Emily Sisson? Like, yes. Would I have like been ambitious enough to go after Annie and Fiona? I don't know. But like, that's not a game I have any desire to play because like, that's not my day. I am in full spectator mode when I am out there.
Nice.
I mean, they ran so well across the board, like 4 American women in like the top 10. And I just feel like we're going to keep seeing more and more of it because that's just like the trend that we've been seeing. And just like the quality of athletes we have in this country is like we should be dominating the top 10 at world majors. Like we have that kind of talent. So it was like very cool to like actually see so many people run so well like on the same day.
You know, when you talk about the feed, Mike, like I don't know how different it was what I was watching, but like we saw Fiona a lot. I had no idea what Annie Frisbee was doing though, because once it went to the top 3, that 5 and then the 4 and then the 3, But they did kept panning back to Fiona on my feed, but I didn't know Annie Frisbee was going to be right there in 5th, which was really exciting to see because they stayed on the finish line for a long time. I mean, I didn't see Amanda Vestry come through, but I saw Safan Hassan. I saw who else was it? Who was between Annie and no, Safan was after Annie. Yeah. So you saw more than just the top 3 come through.
Yeah, I didn't get to see any of that. My camera was looking at the dirt, but
That's right. That's right.
but yeah, but that's when I was trying to get to like on the app to be like, all right, what are the results? Like refresh. Nothing was working. Which is like what happens every year. Like last year I was on the course and I was like, people were like, this app's not working. And people were like, delete it and re-download it and then re-enter in all your athletes that you're tracking and then that'll work. And I was like, what? It did work, but I'm like, this is terrible. But yeah, so I didn't get to see a lot of that. So it's like, I don't know. I've watched a marathon just about every way a person can watch a marathon, and I don't think there's ever like an ideal way, because everything has its like pluses and minuses, right? Like if I were in the grandstands at the finish line like I was last year, I would have seen all of that, and it would have been great. But would I've had the context of how Helen got in front of Sharon? No, and so like you just get to experience it on different levels, and while I strongly prefer being there in person, I guess this was a good second best.
I guess the next best thing would be just to have Bex Gentry's job or Clayton Young's job and just like literally be on the truck. And my goodness, I'll say this. I feel like a couple years ago, it feels like every major, or like seems like half of the majors now, including if you count the Olympics, I'm like, this women's race was the best women's race I've ever seen. And I feel like I've said that now, like on like half of the majors like that have occurred, like New York a couple years ago, then Boston, and then the Olympics. And here we are again. Like it's just, it's now it's come to the point where like, I expect fireworks and it delivers every time. And it's just so awesome. I guess we'll talk about the men's race in a little bit, which was historic as well. But it's just at this point, you're like, it's like, I would never have dreamed about like the men's or women's marathon to be so close, so late all the time. And like, now that's just like the reality of the situation. And it's like, so cool. And it's like, it as a spectator you're devoting like these hours to it and, and maybe getting coverage that you understand why they're doing it this way. And they have to make money and they have the commercials and all these weird look-ins and talk to the sponsors and all that stuff. But at least at the end, it delivers. And it's like, all right, I went through all of that and I'm so glad I did because I got to watch this in the moment.
The men's finish was more exciting because
hey, we don't need your sympathy claps over here. It was a great race and it was epic to watch. And I actually was watching it. So you can step aside.
I did watch it. I watched it with my son. We were
I thought you said you weren't following. Okay, sorry. I lost track of where you were in this whole
For some
scene.
reason, because Matt and Peter and I were texting, I for some reason was still only talking about the women's race.
Okay.
Peter was like, Matt, Lindsey doesn't acknowledge men's marathoning. But I did watch it. I got up out of my seat and I was screaming. I was so excited. So I was excited. And
it was very exciting.
I loved their beautiful embrace. And like those guys are clearly like buds. Like they really care about each other. And they were both ecstatic at the finish line.
Yeah, you're like, I wonder how it would have played out if there was bad blood. They just seemed like close enough that, you're like, Benson doesn't really seem like he's pulling away, even though he's pulled away. And then you're like, oh my God, I was screaming. And then I texted it to my friends and we're like, this is how we have to finish the New York City Marathon in the future. Just being boys.
Oh, so you texted your real friends who are real fans of male marathoning.
Yes. That's a side text. Erika, I wanted to give a throwback to, we were all excited to see Hillary Bory's debut. And so then like coming off the Queensboro Bridge, my wife happened to be in the living room and I was like, Jay, like, he's an American. It's his debut. And he's just like surging to the lead. I'm like, it's his first marathon. We'll see how he feels in a little bit.
Saw him at 16 and I was like, maybe I called this one. I was like, Hillary, top 3, it's going to happen. And then when I saw him at 40K, I was like, he's still doing all right.
A lot
but
to
like,
learn.
yeah, early on, I was like, he's got it. And then I forgot Benson Kipruto was like there because Hillary was leading.
I was just like, I love this fire. I love this passion. And also it's a marathon. It's going to
see, Hillary Bohr did not read your preview post that you post every single year, Peter, of like, when you come down this one street, you're going to want to speed up, but don't do it. And like, they turn the corner and Hillary just goes. You're like, you didn't read it. He didn't read Peter's preview. I guess not.
Oh, I think I told you that years ago I was fortunate to meet Hendrik Ramallah, who had finished second to Poltergeist, and I was like, I love how you throw down on First Avenue, and he was like, thank you. It might not be smart, but I will continue to try. And I was like, yes, I love
Respect.
you.
One of
Yeah.
these days it's gonna take.
It's gonna happen.
Let me
Oh,
ask
it's
you
so
about the
exciting.
finish, because I'm fascinated by this and I still can't figure out what I think about it. So, do you think Matiso, I'm sorry, do you think that he planned that and like almost planned it perfectly and just missed? Or do you think it was like desperation or something clicked? Like, I'm just thinking like the timing of the kick. Like, he obviously came on so hard and it didn't look like, I know the television is not the best medium to figure this out, but like, it didn't seem like Benson really slowed down. It didn't look
No, I
like he
think
was
it's
slowing down from his gait perspective, but like, it was just such an overtaking in that moment. Do you feel like it was a desperation thing, or do you think that he was like, had planned it and like, he was like, all right, now it's go time? Like, I know this is all just conjecture. There's no way to know, but like, I keep replaying it in my head, like how close he almost got there and just the timing of the move.
they're in my side text, so I'll let you know what they said. Erika, I'm curious your thoughts on this. Having finished on the World Championship track, I'm a big fan of not finishing on a track. I realized, because it just creates this drama of like how many feet are left. Because I had the sense that Benson's like, I got it, but it's uphill. It's like an annoying uphill, and when you're on a track, what we saw was athletes click over and they're like, okay, I got 80 meters to go, and they gun it.
Mhm.
Whereas it's fun although that's technically totally fair, that feels more track, where road is like, can you will yourself to try one more time, even though you're like exhausted? Although they
Well,
didn't
and
seem
it's like,
that exhausted. They were like, hey,
uh,
buddy, what's going on?
but New York and like most of them also do have a lot of markers in the last 800. Like there's an
Huh.
800, 600, 400, 200, 100 to go sign. So like you are still getting those distance cues. So like a lot of people, especially coming from the track growing up, you know, you're like, I have 100 meters left. That is however many seconds I can will myself to right now.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like they do know. And like
Yeah.
maybe, especially if it's your training partner, you're like, I can take so and so in a 200. Or like they got me over like 150, but I like have better acceleration. So like I'm gonna wait till like 100. Like you still have like enough of like a gauge to be strategic if you want, but then you're also finishing uphill. So that changes literally everything if you're like just not built for that.
Man, if you run the race, or so many people have, it's so fun to watch, because I just found myself, having run it recently, being like, oh, I love that part. I love that part. Like, they're in the park, they leave the park, they go back into the park. It's just so exciting. Erika, when are we going to cheer on you there? You can't tell us.
I mean, hopefully soon.
Okay.
I would like to do it before 2028, but I don't know. We'll find out how
Yeah.
schedules shake out.
Okay.
We had some great American women run, but are our like Matt Rickman fans jumping over to this Minnesota distance guy who like led the Americans on the men's side?
Yeah.
Apologies for not knowing his last name or
Joel
his.
Joel Reichow.
I was gonna say I don't know his first
Yeah.
name. I was gonna say
Yeah, yeah.
Joel.
Yeah, he's been on Minnesota Distance Elite for a while. I think this is his second time running New York. I remember following him
Yeah, I
around last
recognize
year.
like the hair. I was
Yeah.
like, I've
Yeah.
seen this man before, but
But he's
also
not
I'm like
Andrew Colley.
watching. He's not, and like I watch like the pro men like come through 40K, and I'm like, I think that guy's American. I like cannot for the life of me remember like why I've seen him before, but like I'm still counting on one hand. So like, what is happening here? And then our like pseudo American Charles Hicks, pretty solid.
Oh, shots fired. Yes, our newest. It was a really charming interview with Charles Hicks, where he's like, when I represented Great Britain, it was like almost my teenage angst, like trying to push back against Americanism. But then now I realized, oh, I'm American. Like, I've evolved.
Wait, where
Yeah,
is he from? What's the story here?
he was born to two American citizens in Great Britain, and
Okay.
then moved here in college, competed for Great Britain, sort of as this like, hey, culturally, I still feel like I'm an outsider. And then now he's lived here for a while. I guess he's dating or engaged to a woman who's American. His parents are American. He's like, I thought it's interesting thinking about that evolution. But yeah, there's a lot of. Turns out the Olympic trials are going to be awesome because there's so
Yeah.
much firepower. I'm like, oh, cool, you broke 210. Add you to the list. Like, this is sweet.
How does that work though? If he's running for GB, is it because he was a junior? Is that what?
Also,
Mm,
Because why does
what's it,
Zohair
like
Talbi
a
have to wait
period?
3 years? You know?
Charles Hicks still had to wait a little bit too. There's like differences depending on like how recently you've competed, what type of competitions you've done. Like Talby like was at like the last Olympics for a different country, but like Charles Hicks, he did compete for Great Britain after the age of 18. So like, but he might have been on like a U20 something team. He might have even done like a senior team for like a cross or like a road champs or like something weird, but like it wasn't
wasn't
like the
Olympics.
time you have to like
Yeah.
sit out is like relevant to like how recently you've competed for your other country. So
Okay.
he was already like 2 years into his like switch time because when he set what should have been the American record at Cherry Blossom, he was allowed to run Cherry Blossom. He was approved as like a USA athlete, but it wasn't completely finalized, which is why his American record isn't an American record. It was a British
Gotcha.
record at a US championship.
Which is confusing.
Like it's been a mess.
Okay. Okay. I had no idea that in 2025 we would have to dig this deep into nationality roles in
We're
sport.
still figuring it out.
These things get super complex. I had a great Bia Simbasa story, which was that I was watching the official ESPN feed on YouTube, and occasionally the feed is just a bootleg feed, would drop this big blue square in the middle of it and be like, this feed is not official. I don't know, something. But like Bia's like tuft of hair would be bobbing up and down above. And I was like, Bia's still doing well. I can't really tell who's leading, but like our guy's still in it. So
That's so
it's good
good.
to be iconic. Yeah, he got a couple shout outs of like, you recognize this man. I was curious if Erika, did you get any download from Amanda Vestry on marathoning? Thoughts?
Amanda's always had a ton of respect for her competitors and compatriots, but I think she has a lot more now. Like, at least that's what I got from our text after the race. I like never saw her in person because she was obviously wiped out and like had some obligations. And by the time she was free, she's like, I can't walk. And I was like, it's okay. I will see you when I see you. But she was like, I just like can't believe how like insane you guys are like at the marathon like that. Like just that was really hard. And it's like she did really well and like
Yeah.
but it's so hard to like explain to someone what that's going to feel like and what you're putting your body through for like that length of time. So, I mean, we all welcome to the club and I don't know if she's like thrilled to be a part of it. But like she's in it now. She's a marathon vet as far as we know.
I
That's
mean, she's
awesome.
gonna have to be in it because she proved that she's very good at it. I mean,
Yeah.
that time that she ran as a debut, especially just like, I don't know, anytime someone's debuting, you don't know what that's gonna feel like. You don't know what that last 10K is gonna do to you. And whatever she was feeling, she dealt with it and she ran really fast.
Because like months ago, Lindsey was like, and then she'll make the trials standard. And I was like, I mean, it's the first marathon.
Yeah.
Let's just remember anything can happen. So I was happy to see her like sort of fly through that final 10K and still like finish what she started.
No, it's very
Yeah.
true. You have no idea what could happen. I think based on conversations with Amanda in the past, I think she's got her fueling really dialed in, which is like, I mean, that's like the biggest mistake people make in their first marathon usually, even the
Yeah.
pros. So, yeah, I think that's probably one thing that really helped her.
I think it's just, I want to point out how fun it is to see our favorite runners run fast. Like I tuned in somewhere in the middle, and when they panned over to the women's field, like M. Sisson was like doing her really long, fast stride. And I'm like, whoa, they must be going quick. Like she usually seems so in control, just like I'll just wait around for the rest of you and then go. But she was flying. And I mean, Helen her arms were pumping hard. I don't know. I felt like Safon just like was tired, which she has every reason to be, but she just seemed like she was kind of like not as springy as we're used to seeing her when she wins the Olympics. But I mean, like, even on that day, she'd already run 6 races. So, but it just seems like, I was like, I don't believe she's going to catch up like you typically believe she's going to.
Yeah, she had a moment there where it looked like she was really surging to catch the pack, and it just never really came to fruition.
I kept thinking it was going to happen.
Same.
It's because I was like, I said there's no way she can win this race in Paris after she's done all this racing. And I was like, well, she did just run Sydney, but I'm like, but she did what she did in Paris. So like, she can run a hilly race. She can run on tired legs. She's gonna do it. And then it never happened. And I was like, oh wait, what happened? So that was a big surprise for me.
Yeah, when we were just not like debating, but trying to figure out like, is this part of her plan being like a little bit off the leaders? We were just like, I think she set us up with like her debut because she stopped. We're like, no one does that. And like now we never know what to expect because like if you can stop and then come back and run 2:17 and run, like I will never count you out. She could sit down for 3 minutes and probably still win most races. So like you never bet against her.
It was that quad stretch she did that was so like beyond the
It was
pale.
such a baller move, like legendary.
Maybe it was just debut. She's like, my legs feel really bad. I must stretch them out. And now she's learned like it's not going to get better.
But just to think you have the time when you're running a sub 220 marathon to be like, you know what? I'm going to take a second.
Here's my question. How much do you give away in the pre-race interviews? Because the only thing I saw from her was multiple clips that Sidious Mag posted that she kept saying she was scared.
Yeah.
And that these women were really, really fast. And I'm like, how much of a front do you put on even if you feel scared? Like, did that give her competitors an edge on her because they knew she was scared? I have no idea. Matt says no.
Well, I think we all remember like the interview she gave before her first marathon. It's like gone viral, like even outside of the running space, where she's like, I think to myself, I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? You know, like that clip. Well, it's like, I'm kind of like, I already have this like in my head of like, all right, like she's probably like a little bit like playing for like the joke of it, you know, kind of like a mini sandbag, mini joke. It's also endearing. So like, again, I'm not racing her, so like my opinion doesn't matter at all here. But like I personally don't put zero stock into it.
No, yeah, good point. I mean, we know that Safon Hassan, when she's gonna do it, she's gonna do it regardless of what she says. Like if she says she's scared before, I just wondered. I also do find it endearing. I love that she's just like, yeah, I'm scared. This is gonna hurt really bad.
I think it's appropriate and like very real because like yes, she is like Safon Hassan, but she's also a human being. And like anyone looking at that start list, the appropriate reaction is like, I'm scared. Like, what do you mean I have to have a front row seat to Helen versus Sharon round 7? Like, I'm going to get caught in the crossfire. Like, what is going on? But it also just like, she has respect for the distance. She has respect for her competitors. So I feel like someone of her caliber, like still saying things like that is great for the sport.
Was the women's field small? Like I'm saying an intense number of amazing athletes, but like when I looked at the start line, I was like, there doesn't seem like there's very many of them.
Maybe.
Did
I actually don't remember how many.
Yeah, I had the same
they usually
feeling.
have.
I had the same feeling, Lindsay. And you can't go by like the finish line, like the finishing stats, because like, you know, there's going to be DNFs and stuff like that. But it was like a really nice day weather-wise. So you're not going to have like the weather-related DNFs, right? Stuff like that. So like if you look at like just the pro women leaderboard from a finishing perspective, there's like the 15th woman overall finished at 2:37. 16th finished at 2:46. So like a huge gap, right? And that's exactly paralleled on the men's side, not the same like not for the exact same number, but like a very similar gap actually around that same OTQ time, which is like kind of odd and quirky. So Reed Fisher finished 20th at 2:16, and then Charles Philibert, and I never pronounced this right, Thibodeau, I don't know, from Canada, he finished 10 minutes later. So it was almost the exact same thing in both the men's and women's field in terms of like for women it was the top 16, for the men it was the top 20, but there was this distinct gap between like that within the pro finishers.
Guys, can we talk about the emergence of the newest running influencer? Elliot'sRunningWorld.com. Yes. I love it.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, he's like
Wait, who?
so much. His website, Elliot'sRunningWorld.com. You need to go to it.
Okay.
It's just like it's like so many projects that people launch. You're like, what's the details? Well, details are to come. You're like, okay, all right. I respect that as someone who's created websites with a lot of information to be filled in later.
It's so funny though. My son kept going, why is he running so slow though? Because he knows him as like the world's greatest marathoner. He's like very confused by that. I was like, well, he's like really retiring from like this scene. This is his last like big professional hurrah. And I was like, also, he's actually not running slow at all.
That would be pretty funny, actually, if he just got really ugly, like muscled out the finish. Like he has the most beautiful stride and friends are posting videos on Instagram. But if the man was just like muscling, you'd be like, whoa, okay.
How you described that, it immediately like brought visions in my head that him going like the full Ryan Hall. Just like, you know what? I'm going to take Peter's idea, but I'm going to take it to the max. I'm literally going to muscle this out. I'm just going to.
No, I was thinking Sarah Hall, like End of London, where she's like clawing, she looks like a velociraptor. That would be true. Like, okay, we've seen him give his all. Because guys, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's like 43. Like he says he's a Masters runner, but like the man is crushing for how long he's been alive and in the sport. But yeah, I'm hoping to do the Antarctica event with him. Not really sure anything about it, but like that'd be sweet.
If you did that, Peter, I would just be like, because you're like our, Erika joked when we got on this call that she's like the weather correspondent on the ground. You're like our influencer correspondent on the ground with your influencer takes. So if you start peddling your wares in the same vein, I'm going to be all about it. I can't wait. I can't wait for like cold takes exposed.
Yeah, Peter, I saw your video of the girl in pink. I didn't actually watch the videos, but someone told me about them later because I saw them in person and was so unbelievably confused why they were where they were. Because I'm at 40K. Like the pro women just came through, the pro men just came through, and then they were there. And I was like, mathematically, this is physically impossible unless they cut the course short. Because like I had no idea there was this like bizarre, oh, you start before them. Like the army people marching the course. I was like, when did we start doing this? This is insane.
I wish I was in the room when MasterCard was like, we're just spitballing here. Okay. What if we sponsor some influencers who start early? And they're like, sure, okay. And so then it makes much more sense. You're right. I've cheered in Brooklyn, like mile 7 or 8, and like Shalane came by with a friend years ago, and then like Matt James runs by, and you're like, okay, here's some people. But by 25, it's very like,
well, it just looks like they're better than like the sub-elite men. You're like, are they running like 2:18 right now? Like, did I miss something? Because I'm just assuming everyone stopped at the same or started at the same time. I did not know there was like this hour going on.
Yeah,
but
and
I was
to
like,
be fair to them, they are like sub-elite women runners. Like they're like,
they ran like a 3-hour marathon.
Yeah,
but it was like they also looked so good. So like I was just like, who are they? Why don't I know them? How did they get in front of all of these sub-elite men? Like, what did I miss this morning?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a huge event. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. And I saw like a very funny TikTok from one of them this morning when I was like just scrolling through stuff from New York yesterday. And when the like lead pack of men finally like passed them on a bridge or something, the girl like panicked and didn't know what to say. So she was like, "You're slaying." And then one of like the African guys was like, "How are you?" And then everyone in the comments is like, "What a gentleman," as they're like racing.
It's so great that you came across that because that's literally the video that Peter sent us all and we just ignored it.
Yeah,
yeah, sorry, Peter.
No, it's okay.
I saw that on a reel app.
Too much. Yeah.
But it was very funny.
It was funny. I did like that because that was the part I kept rewatching. Was he was like he turned to them and was like, "Yes, and you, how are you doing?"
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, this is great.
I just think New
love
York
it.
is also fun because it breaks all the walls of my algorithm. Like I'm just scrolling and you might see marathon content from literally anyone, like a celebrity, a politician, it just breaks far and wide. And people have suddenly marathon hot takes or they're cheering someone on and you're like, whoa, this is the day of it just goes across everyone.
I think my favorite moment of that exact phenomenon, Peter, was I was on YouTube. I was scrolling like late last night, and it was YouTube Shorts, and it was actually in my subscribe tab. So like these are people that I subscribe to, and it was this guy. Kofuzi might know this guy because he's really prominent over on YouTube. Is Body by Mark, so it's like a New York City based content creator. He just goes up to people. He literally like it's just the same question every time. He just goes up and goes
But yeah.
with the mic. He goes, "Hey, I'm Body by Mark. You look like you're really in shape." And I find people who are in shape. I ask them what their workout regimen is. But he does that to Charles Hicks after the finish line. So Charles Hicks is just standing there. He's like, "Hey, I'm Body by Mark. You look really fit. Can you tell me your workout plan?" Charles Hicks is like, sure. I run a lot." I was like, "What does a lot mean?" He's like, "I run 17 miles a day." And the guy's like, "That's insane." He's like, "It's not the most."
Yeah. Relative to my peers.
It should be
Andrew.
criminal to talk to anybody after a marathon.
I
And
thought
will
that Charles,
stand on that.
Erika, I got to be honest, I feel the exact same way. With that said, when the interview started, I thought it was at the starting line because that's how fresh Charles Hicks looked in the interview.
That's funny.
I was like, "Oh, how did he get him before the start of the race? That's insane." And I'm like, "Oh no, this is in Central Park. This is the end of the race."
Mike, did you chase down the story of the final finishers? It seems like the finish line was kept open later than even we have experienced. Is that accurate?
I heard it was open very late. But it closes when the last person comes through.
Okay.
So there isn't an end time. I was nervous because there's a finisher, Super Mario, who has run the New York Marathon countless numbers of times. And he was the last finisher last year. And I watched a bunch of people's final finishers reels and shorts, and I didn't see him for the longest time. So until eventually this morning, I was like, does anyone know what happened to Super Mario? He's an older guy, and I'm like, like, I can't lose Super Mario. I don't think I'll make it. Like, it's been a year. Like, I need to see him finish. And someone immediately was like, here's a video of him. I was like, thank goodness. Like, I can make it through the month now. Super Mario ran and he finished, but he wasn't the last finisher. He was much earlier this year. And so that's why
he also looks a particular way. He's like, a lot of those finishers who've been out there many, many hours are wearing multiple layers.
Mm-hmm.
They're like reduced to more of a walk stride. And he is like wearing a singlet and little shorts and like popping along and yet still like way at the back. And so you're like, I would love to follow. Could we get a Super Mario cam? Like, I want to see how the day unfolds. It seems like a lot.
I mean, they could do that, right? You mentioned, Mike mentioned earlier, like these guys aren't taking smoke breaks who are like, on the bikes. Like there's also a car behind the last finisher the whole time. Like you can have that thing going.
Wait, did you see the sweet bus on social?
No.
I heard it got mobbed.
So they have a bus that they're like, hey, I mean, it's actually a pretty good deal. Like if you want a DNF, which would be super tempting if you're gonna, you're struggling. A lot of these people are gonna be out there for many hours. I mean, I think I talked about this on the podcast last year. Like when we've gone and cheered, maybe a quarter mile from the finish, some of the people kind of would look at us. It's like 8-9 p.m. and they're looking at us like we're almost trolling them. We're like, no, we're here. We're like got confetti cannons and we're like hyped for you. But in Brooklyn, yeah, like the fans started getting closer and closer, it seems. And then the sweet bus came by and then someone was standing on the sweet bus blasting music and they're all dancing. Like it's a uniquely Brooklyn scene, but it wasn't very conducive to traffic flow. Like just, mayhem. So then the police had to come out. That's
I
what
feel
it
like
feels
that's how my brain works when I'm thinking about dropping out of a run. Like, not only do I want the pain to stop, but also like it like envisions like a whole party scene once I stop
Oh
moving.
yeah, like if I could just stop. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's parts of Brooklyn, parts of Queens. You'd be like, how would I even, depending on where you're going, like get back? I might as well just keep hoofing it. So that bus right there would be too tempting.
Mike, I have a question for you because when I think of your rooting interests, and I know you're a huge fan of running, you love so many runners. But at the top of the list for me, at least knowing you the way I do, is Laura Thweet and Sharon Lucchetti. You have like loved them as runners for like a very long time. What was it like for you, who's been like, you were, as you mentioned, you were completely narrowed into the women's race. Like there were no other cameras that you were watching. You had Sharon there and you had Helen, who's coached by Laura. Like, what was it like for you as a rooting interest?
I was just wanting to see an interesting race. You know, I'm like, either of them, they're fantastic athletes. They're very easy to cheer for. And so, like, just to see the duel was pretty incredible. And the moment that Helen went, and I knew that like Sharon wasn't going to respond, I was like, oh, it's going to be a heck of a day for Laura Thweet, you know? And then the other athlete she's coaching, you know, also had a really great day in his debut marathon. So I'm like, it is a heck of a day for Laura Thweet and Helen and Joe, obviously, but like great day for her too. And especially because like her like transition to the coaching staff there was a little bit like kind of awkward, you know, like there wasn't like this big announcement. Like we knew ahead of time, but we were waiting for it.
And On made
then,
an announcement and Laura and Dathan missed it. Like they didn't even see the On announcement.
it just went up on a website as like a
Right.
press release, you know? And so like I saw it eventually at one point, and then it seemed like in the latest round of like everyone's interviews, they were like, oh yeah, don't forget to talk about Laura because she's the one that's actually here every day, you know?
Well, Carrie
So I'm
Tollefson
like,
mentioned her name no less than like 30 times in the
oh,
broadcast.
awesome. Because I was like, good. Like, you know, like this has been great. Because I saw Helen and Laura before Boston, you know, and they were talking with each other, and I was like, they were very obviously deep in the conversation, you know. I was like, all right, so like this is definitely, she's an integral part of this team. And I was like, this is going to be a good day for and for Helen, but I'm like really happy for Laura as well.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Sharon's pre-race interviews, the ones that I saw, were like, it was easy. Again, she was obviously one of the favorites. So like, how much do you take from these interviews? We talked about Safan's earlier. Like, you take nothing from them, but her like just confidence was just like, it was like popping through the screen during the interviews. Like just the way she was talking, her countenance, how she was smiling, like the inner confidence, like was just radiating outward in a way that was like, oh my God, like this woman is absolutely ready. And I know like no one says like, oh boy, I can't wait to tell Carrie Tollefson like my training didn't go well. But like Carrie had mentioned like, again, several times in the broadcast that like Sharon was like emphatic, like that I've never been fitter. Like I am absolutely ready to go. Which was like, obviously she was, because she also broke the course record, right?
She
True.
sure did.
Anyone have any feelings about Elliot running in long sleeves?
Great choice. I mean, I was freezing. It was really interesting seeing not so much the pros, but like seeing that like 2:30 marathoner back to like the 4-hour group, just seeing what everyone chose to wear, because we saw everything. We saw people in almost nothing. Unfortunately, I saw one of those guys that pinned his bib to his bare chest, which
No,
like it was bad enough seeing the photo in Chicago. Seeing it in real life, I was like, I'm going to throw up and we need to ban this.
yeah.
Like, we have invented so many other ways to wear a bib. Like, tape exists. What are
Just
we doing? But then directly behind him was a guy in like a baggy t-shirt and like swishy soccer pants. And I was like, how are these two people like right next to each other running the same event? And we are at like 40K and they both look equally comfortable. If anything, the guy in soccer pants looked more comfortable. But he definitely won the award for most comfy. And I was like, wow, imagine if we like dressed for like comfort over like performance. Cause like I would definitely love to race in some cozy clothes, but they would definitely be heavy. And I know I
yeah.
would get like irritated.
I liked the long sleeve thing because it was like, for me, it was a great testament to be like, all right, like who actually does watch trail running, because Caleb Olson like made this shirt famous months ago. So it was like, all right, like, hey, trail running's not for everybody. And if someone doesn't watch trail running, I'm certainly not going to, say anything negative about them. But it was like, that shirt has been famous, like its fame like has already peaked and then gone back down. Like we've already ridden like the whole roller coaster, and now like it came back up again. But it was fun to see people who are like, this was new to them. So like to see like the jokes like come back up again of like, all right, like this looks like a
Your
doily.
grandma.
Like,
Yeah,
like
well,
whose
it feels
grandma
generous
made
to
this?
call it like a long sleeve. It's missing a lot of fabric,
Yeah.
but it is like roughly in the shape of a long sleeve shirt.
Just a regular sleeve, a sleeved shirt.
Yes.
True. Okay. Yeah. There you are. Yeah. I mean, by all accounts, it both can make you feel cooler and will be involved in all sorts of Nike apparel come next year. So it's not these little dots are going to be everywhere. We'll see.
Did anyone else realize how important the inside of your elbow was to elite performance? I had no idea that this was like the difference maker. That like that needed to be naked if you want to compete at an elite level. You can't have any fabric on the inside of your elbow.
They just want to be
I'd buy it.
free. Here we are. Yeah. It's just
I'm gonna
vibing.
I've already cut holes in all my arm sleeves.
There you go. See,
You're like, you're just like,
Perfect.
I mean, yeah, more so than I think it also has that Halloween influence. I can never tell at New York how much was like the
Unfortunately,
costumes.
Halloween was a little close.
Yeah, like how much of it is would these people have dressed this absurdly if it hadn't been this close? Because you don't see that much absurdity in Chicago. You just see a lot of absurdity in New York, but it's also New York. So then you're like, there's gonna be some funkiness. But yeah, just seeing people who were fully kitted out, maybe in like $400 to $500 worth of apparel and shoes, next to like a guy who's painted like the Statue of Liberty and is running hard. You're
I
like,
saw a guy in a business casual button-down shirt, but like the sleeves were torn off. So it was like it was somewhere between like a fishing vest and a button-up shirt. And I was like, that's a choice. I kind of dig it. But you see all sorts of things. I kind of miss those, like whenever they show, especially in Boston, like the like old, like I guess you would call them uniforms, or like the old quote unquote running gear people in like the 40s were racing in. It's like these people were running marathons in business casual.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
why they didn't just invent athletic clothes until like the 80s, I don't know. But like, what do you mean we're wearing like very stiff, heavy fabrics in like not even running sneakers for a marathon? But like they looked great.
Dude,
Well,
look
those
at
dress
dude,
shoes.
just go watch the World Series. You see polyester pants with the leather belts. That's happening this
Yeah.
year.
Honestly, the drip on the World Series is crazy. I did not realize that their game was that strong. Like I was watching a TikTok on the Dodgers, just like the necklaces they were wearing. And I was like, you are playing a baseball game with this?
I
Like
know.
you're not going to take it off for 2 hours, but also it's a flex. I dig it.
I think I've always chalked it up to they have so many games that things just kind of develop. Like the hairdos just get weirder, and like the jewelry. You're like, if they can bat with one chain, then two, then
I don't know.
seven.
I feel like what you see like at like a Catholic school where like if everything is like decided upon high, like you have to wear this and then this and then this and this, then like the one piece that isn't policed is the thing that's going to get tricked out the most. So like it's like I can't express myself in any way except for like this one element. It's like then that element is going to like go to the max.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
It's like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air wearing the jacket inside out.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
Great reference.
that's a good analogy. It was really interesting for me to hear. So Garrett Heath ran with Des and Anthony Ramos. It was his first marathon, and Garrett and Des coached him to it and then ran the whole thing with him. And Garrett also was there to like run with him and like help pace. And it was just like so funny hearing like Garrett's tale of it afterwards, because it was like, how are you doing like physically? Because like last year or 2 years ago, he ran it with his brother. They ran like 2:28. Like it was solid. It was his first marathon, and he was obviously very sore after. And we were like, oh, like they ran like 4:40 yesterday. So we're like, how do you feel? He's like, equally as sore. Like, I ran like 2+ hours slower and feel like borderline just as bad, which like for me was like something I wouldn't have anticipated. And it's like you're just on your feet for so long. And like I've heard it before, like people talking about like their friends who like run like slower marathons. And it's like, yeah, I actually can't imagine being on my feet for more than like, I don't know if I would stay on my feet after 3 hours.
It's
Because
a
you're just
lot.
like out, it like, yeah, you're quote unquote running slower, but like you are on your feet for so long. Like, shout out to the 6 hour marathoners. Cause
Oh, that
like,
makes me feel
Totally.
great. Next time I run a marathon, I'll be
oh,
like, Erika Kemp would have dropped off by now. I
no,
can do it.
literally get me on the sweet buzz.
I'm yeah, I was checking all the stories, the Instagram stories from Tommy Rivs, who has like this global audience of people who love him. And I was like, shot him a text like, hey man, it's awesome to see you out there doing your thing. And he's like, dude, these 5 hour marathons are brutal. And he's like, we got to do one together someday. But he's like, it's not easy. It's really not easy.
No,
And
that's
he's
a long time.
and I mean, that man loves to run, but still, it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, I actually, there's so many people I need to check on now. I'm realizing because, because people
Check
think
on
of,
your 4 hour marathon friends.
yeah, like, a lot of my family friends, like people who know me as the runner, send me reels from like their favorite content creators who are like, get a bib to run the New York City Marathon. And I'm like,
Hmm.
so I end up lightly following these different journeys where I'm like, that guy's going to be out there for a while. Like, if all goes well, it's going to be by far the longest day of his life. So running day of his life so far. So I need to go check on some of those people, see how they did. But it's
All right, I have a question
that's
for everybody. I know this I
exciting.
probably should like ask this like much closer to the beginning of the podcast. So if someone's still listening, thank you for sticking with us. 55 minutes in. I love watching all these marathon majors. The fields obviously are amazing. There's so many different storylines. I feel like the New York City Marathon, with every aspect of the course itself and the support it provides, just from like the fans and stuff like that, but like just the different aspects of the course. I feel like I like watching the elites go at it on that course more than any other. I feel like it's so interesting. There's so many different variations to it. There's history behind certain things, but also like I just feel like I guess it's hard for me to explain that in a way that isn't repetitive, but like I just think that it provides so much more variation and different elements within the race that maybe like a run like Chicago doesn't provide. Where it's like it's interesting to me. I'm going to watch every minute of it, but it does have a different viewing experience, and I think it also gets something out of the athletes that is a little bit different. So for me, like all things being equal, I'd like to see people go at it at Chicago more than the other race courses.
You mean New York?
Wait,
You
in
said
New
Sorry,
York.
sorry.
In
Yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like, it's super exciting. Like the crowds are bonkers. I'm always curious how much they can take in. Erika, you're like in the heat of competition. Are you like, oh, the crowds are a little bit larger there than
I
last
guess I
time
mean
I
more
went
just like
here?
the ups and downs, the nature of the course itself and
Yeah.
stuff like
I
that.
think New York in general, both with the crowds and also the varying crowds. Like the course itself has so much personality because the city has so much personality and it like is a very intentionally this journey. So it's like Chicago is, a couple out and backs. It's like very easy to spectate. It's very fast, but it's like a racetrack. But like New York, it's like, no, you are touring this city whether you like it or not. You're gonna start way over here. You're gonna cross all of these bridges. You're gonna see the whole thing. And just like I feel like that really does something both for the crowds and the athletes of like, this is my neighborhood, or that is like where so and so grew up, and just like they all have a different feel to them. And then you finish in Central Park, which is like iconic. And it's just like
Yeah.
kind of breaks the race into stages for you versus like something not to like I don't mean boring in a bad way, but like for Chicago, it's like, oh, the turnaround. And it's like, all right, like you're turning around the middle of the road. But for New York, there's like these huge moments where it's like you're going in the park, you're going out of the park. There's this bridge, there's that bridge, there's First Ave, there's Fifth Ave. Like it's in stages and it's not stages based on anything other than just like the city, which I think just makes for like a very exciting day.
Yeah, and Boston has elements of that, but also when viewing Boston through like a TV watching perspective, it feels like a lot of it is like a countdown to the hills. as opposed
Mhm.
to like appreciating what's happening in the
Yeah.
moment, because something like interesting is happening at that certain spot of the course. So like I do like that, especially as you get closer. Like we're 1 mile out, who's going to make a move and stuff like that. But like I don't want to hear it when we're 8 miles into the course. Like, all right, we're 7 miles away from the hills. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
that's not quite what I'm here to see exactly.
Yeah, I feel like New York definitely has like a full start to finish story that's like exciting. In Boston, it's like, yeah, there's the first 15 and then everyone just moves forward. And it's like, okay, but like
Yeah.
there's stuff happening kind of, but it really isn't quite as exciting. And there's also like that very quiet part in the middle of New York that I love because it is hysterical to like when they get to that one Orthodox Jewish community
But
where
yes,
they like genuinely do not care that you're there to
they're
run
like,
the marathon.
I saw a video about that, how there used to be more cheering there, and then it was put out by the community that like it's a little bit uncouth to go observe people in different types of dress, and so then they're
Yeah.
like please stay away, and so yeah, it really is quite quiet, and you're like, this is so surreal. Yeah, there's nothing like New York in terms of like the imagery of the signs that are rolling in on social media of like all the different hilarity, and then just the dance parties, that just total ridiculousness. It's beyond anything. I mean, I know London has, haven't gotten there, but I know they have quite a bit of world record chases for like biggest, fastest Big Ben, motif, for kind of ridiculous. But
I do look forward to Big Ben getting stuck at the finish.
yeah,
Because
bonk.
I'm like, what do you mean you haven't figured this out yet?
Guys, when I ran London, the corral that I got placed in was the Guinness corral. And so
Oh god.
everyone who had a costume was in my corral.
You're like on
And
a
so
drag
like
Incredible.
trip. You're
I
like,
got there
what
and I'm
is
like, what is happening? There is a sinking faucet over there. There's a giant goldfish over there. That guy is running as a shoe. Like I'm like, what? Why? I'm like, I heard that there's costumes at London, but I don't know what's going on. And then I look over, there's like the Guinness check-in tent.
Yeah.
So like if you are
Mm.
going to go for a record, you check in there, and like because you have to arrange all this ahead of time to be like the fastest
Oh,
marathoner as a surfer male. Like you have to check in and say you're going to do it, and then it gets ratified at the end. That's why like
I
so many people
thought
do it at London, but like Guinness
okay.
has like a tent set up there to enable these
Side
records.
question.
Mhm.
Is Guinness World Records the same as Guinness the beer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, when you said like, "Oh, I was in the Guinness corral," I thought you meant everyone was in costume because they were like drinking a lot,
Yeah.
not like Guinness World Record. I was like, "Well, yeah, you're in the party corral.
Yeah.
You just didn't bring your costume."
No, like there was like I was literally running next to a clown, and so like my joke was
Incredible.
like I gotta try to race this clown today, like so
Nice.
that was my dad joke for the afternoon. But yeah, that was wild to
Well,
be
kudos to
like
the organizers.
surrounded.
They knew what they were doing. They're like, should we get like a film crew or a motorcycle to follow like the chase of all these mascots? Like, no, we'll just put Kofuzi in that corral because we know he's going to
We'll
be
drop
videotaping the whole
Kofuzi in
thing.
there.
Yeah.
It's impressive, and it really expands my mind for what people come up with. Like, yeah, I'm gonna
Like
do
we're
this.
over here talking about long sleeves when you could have been an inflatable shark.
Yeah, just wait. Elliot's gonna do his 7-continent tour, and then he's gonna circle back and do like,
Costumes.
SpongeBob. It'll just be a whole.
The long sleeve is just a soft launch.
Yes, he's just getting into it. Wait, Erica, I feel like I don't want to. I'm gonna stay on the same weekend. Is there anything we should know about this? The 5K champs. I always find that 5K champs like so perplexing. I'm like, it's
Well,
like the
this year it also wasn't the championship, which I think really impacted the
okay,
race. Like it's still like Abbott Dash on its own is still like a great race. It's a great course. It's a fun way to start the weekend, but they had an independent 5K championships back in May for like the world championships that never happened. So I think that definitely impacted like the depth of the fields because usually, I mean, there was still a ton of prize money on the line, but usually like everyone and their
yeah,
mother who is not running the marathon shows up to that 5K. And this year is a bit of like a softer field. And there were a ton of scratches. Like, I don't know when they scratch, but from like the start list that was posted on like Wednesday till like who raced on Saturday, it felt like just like very small fields. But
okay,
Ellie St. Pierre is back.
yeah.
Um, and back pretty quickly. And last time she came back, she went on to win a world indoor title. So we love to see Ellie feeling strong and like back out there competing because she is like a force to be reckoned with. And like kid one made her super strong. I think she's even stronger
I
after
know.
the second one and just like seems to be in a really great spot. So it's really fun to see her back. Parker Valby's second pro race ever, which like feels wrong to say because you're like, what happened between like this year and last year? But like navicular's tough. I know
Uh,
that's what it was. I like just saw a post about it, but usually once that gets fixed, it's like really fixed. And she's
okay.
back with her college coaches who obviously like had a very good protocol for working with her like cross training stuff. Whatever I
Yeah.
mean, whatever she was doing in college was really working for her. So we got a lot of updates on that front, which I think was exciting for a lot of people. And then I couldn't tell you a single guy who ran the 5K. It wasn't
No,
a
I felt like
championship. I was
I
not
feel like it.
checking for it.
Yeah.
The women's finish was incredible, though. Annie Rodenfels,
So
she's
I
a hunter.
heard.
She is a
Yeah.
hunter. My goodness.
Yeah.
She like Ellie St. Pierre and Parker Balby and Winnie Colletti were pulling away, and I was like, "Oh, is she gonna get dropped here?" And then I noticed like they weren't gaining any ground on her, and I was like, "Oh, I think she's lurking," And then at the end, coming up the hill, she turned it on, and again, no response. I was like, "That girl is so good." And I was like, "Oh, she's wearing Solomon." I was like, "What shoe?"
Mhm.
I was like, "What shoes are those?" I didn't know Solomon had shoes that could go that fast, but it was an amazing finish. Really, really
Yeah.
good.
I
I've
mean,
seen
and
her race a couple of times.
yeah.
She's tough.
She's also won on that course before. So I feel like she definitely had a lot of confidence on that finish. Like, one, I'm confident in myself, but two, like, I know how this runs. Like,
Yeah.
no one is beating me in this last like 200.
Yeah, she took
That's
like
what I
an inside
mean.
line too from everybody, and I was like,
Oh.
does everyone not know? But like Wayne's one there as well, and so I was like,
Yeah.
Wayne knows. But it was like who was on the inside? It was Wayne and Annie Rodenfeld. So I was like, all right, they know the line, but it's
Right.
still amazing finish.
That's what's so crazy. Like, yeah, road 5King is it's a slightly different sport, like when Wayne's won by like shooting to the lead in the first mile and it just sort of breaks the morale of everyone else. And you're like, I guess you
As
can do
someone who
that.
got second when she did that, yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Like literally in the first 1,000 meters, you're like, I'm not going out in 4:35 or I'm not
Yeah. You're like,
finishing this race.
that's going to blow up or not. Which is just so much different than being on the track and being like, okay, I'm 104 meters behind. Like,
Mhm.
and I have exact splits. It's just a different sport, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, and then that uphill finish. I don't know. I've seen people perform there, and you're like, okay, so they're definitely gonna crush indoors, and then they do fine indoors, but like it's not. It's its
It's
own
not a
little
1-to-1.
specialty. Yeah, well, that's fun. Man, I was not there this year. And definitely next year it's on the 1st, which I'm like, oh, like miss all of Halloween. Such a bummer. But then the following year
Mm,
it resets and it's the 7th, and then we count down again. So for anyone who wants both, you
good
know,
to know.
yeah, it's a fun weekend. All right, friends. I'm sure more stories will come out. I feel like New York just gestates stories, and then days later you find out about some heroic effort.
I mean, it was like 60,000 people.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a lot of watch time.
I know. Like, I guess it set the record again, and people are like, the next one's gonna be 60, and you're like, are we ready to scale the systems for this? I don't know. I don't want to be a doubter, but like these things are hard to pull off with all the. I don't want the quality to diminish and have everyone like. It's like winning the lottery to get a bib for most people, and then if it's also the biggest in the world, I don't. I don't want the quality to diminish. Super fun. I'm sure we missed something. There's too much to capture,
I'm
but it's
sure we
super
missed
fun.
a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure we missed quite a bit. Thanks for being here, friends. If you have any other side storylines that we missed we should talk about, let us know in the comments.